By the end of today's video, you will be able to determine whether XRP or XLM is better investment for you, because I plan to explain both from scratch along with their connected controversial past. And don't worry, even if you don't know anything about world of cryptocurrencies, you will be able to follow, because every video on Bitcoin Academy is 100% beginner friendly. Now, without wasting time, let's start with Ripple XRP. Okay, diving into topic number 1. Why should you care about Ripple? All right, just imagine you are doing a freelance remote job for a client from, let's say, United Kingdom, and your residence is California, for example. You finish the job, and client now needs to pay you, let's say, $1,000 US. He would need to transfer his British pounds to US dollars while paying fees. Then he would need to send money from his bank account to your bank account, which will also cost fees. It is fair to estimate that both you and him will lose at least $25 each paying fees to your banks. When you add that up, that would be 5% of total sum you earned. So to better understand this injustice, let's put it into perspective of time. Let's say you invested 20 hours of your work in this job. That would mean that one total hour you work just so bank can give you your money. I believe we all agree that this is insane. And that's not all. On top of that, you would most likely need to wait at least 3 to 5 days for money to even arrive. Imagine in this day and age, you need to wait for some balance numbers on some computer to travel to another computer takes 3 to 5 days. Wait, you don't need to imagine. That is exactly how international money flow works. To put it simply, it is a broken system. And that is exactly where XRP comes in. It is the revolutionary way to send money globally. But instead of 3 days, it takes maximum of 3 seconds. Instead of $50 fees, it costs less than 5% of 1 penny. And instead of ancient banking system, it is running on a network that works 24/7. Sounds mind-blowing. Don't worry, just sit back and relax. Because as we go through, information will get even more mind-blowing. Which brings us to topic number 2. What is Ripple? In order to start this one, we need to clear out one of the biggest confusions around Ripple and XRP. And we just said it. Ripple and XRP are not the same thing. Ripple is the company, and XRP is simply the cryptocurrency that they created. Think of it like FedEx. Ripple would be the FedEx company itself, and XRP in this case would be the trucks they use in order to do business of delivering goods. To put it simply, XRP is just the product that was made by Ripple Company. Okay, now, let's head into the vision of Ripple. Ripple was created in order to revolutionize outdated banking systems all around the world. As we said in previous step, banking systems are super outdated. But why is that the case? Well, it is simple. Like everything in world, it also revolves around money and control. You see, banking systems today use a system called SWIFT, which stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It was founded in 1973 by a total of 239 banks from 15 different countries in order to replace Telex, an outdated error-prone system. In 1977, it launched operation with 518 banks. Today, it is used by more than 11,000 institutions in over 200 countries, with a daily volume that surpasses $5 trillion. So we can say that SWIFT did monopolize a huge percentage of the money flow in the entire world. So if you're asking yourself, why aren't banking systems getting Ripple technology instead of SWIFT? The answer is right here. Nobody is going to give up $5 trillion in daily volume without a fight. In fact, they are not only not changing outdated system with revolutionary one that Ripple offers, they even tried to shut this company completely. But more about that in topic number 6. Before we move on, let's recap this topic in one sentence. Ripple is a company, and it uses XRP, which is a currency they created in order to replace outdated money transfer system called SWIFT. All right, moving on to topic number 3, which is what is XRP? We already mentioned some things about XRP. Now let's dive a bit deeper inside. Let's compare XRP to other famously known cryptocurrencies. So if we consider Bitcoin as a digital gold, XRP would be closest thing to supersonic jet, simply because it is aiming to speed up international money flow by more than 10,000 times. One important thing before I explain this, I will be using Bitcoin comparisons moving forward. So if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, make sure to check this video on Bitcoin Academy channel. We explained it so everyone can fully understand it even without any prior knowledge. Getting back to comparison, so Bitcoin network uses proof of work, which are nodes and miners that validate every transaction, which requires computing power in order to work properly. And everyone with internet connection can participate in this. On the other hand, XRPL, which is a network where XRP exists, uses a consensus ledger, which is a group of 150 plus trusted validators working with Ripple Company. These validators validate transactions every 3 to 5 seconds. So unlike Bitcoin, which is fully decentralized and no governing body has any power over it, XRP is centralized. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for banks even to consider adopting it. Next comparison would be transaction speed. Bitcoin network can proceed around 7 transactions per second, while XRPL can proceed 1,500 transactions per second. Fees for sending Bitcoin can be even $10 or $20 when network is busy, while fees for sending XRP are not more than 5% of 1 penny. So to put it all in simple perspective, XRP is a centralized cryptocurrency owned by a Ripple company, existing on XRPL network. Transactions are getting validated by trusted validators. It can process up to 1,500 transactions per second with insanely low fee costs. Now let's move on to topic number 4, which will explain how banks plan to use XRP. We answered huge part of this topic in previous 3, but let's go a step further by setting up examples to clarify efficiency once again. We will make an example of moving $1 million from bank in Japan to bank in United States. In first example, we will show how it would work inside current SWIFT system banks are using. And in second one, we will show how it would look like with XRP. So in case of using SWIFT, it would go like this. Bank A in Japan would initiate transfer via SWIFT to Bank B in United States. Step 2 would need to include 2 to 3 different banks in order to handle currency conversion and routing. Step 3 would need to include pre-funded accounts. Bank A must pre-deposit Japanese yen in USA in order to prove liquidity of initiated transfer. Step 4. Bank B in United States receives US dollar after clearing delays. Whole process would take 3 to 5 days due to time zones, manual checks that need to be done, and intermediary movements. It would cost $30 to $50 of visible fees and hidden FX spread, which is an extra fee disguised as a worse exchange rate than the real market rate, which is ranging from 1 to 3%. So let's take middle, 2%. In case of $1 million transfer, that would be $20,000, making our total fee costs $20,050. Now let's see how that would look like with XRP. Step number 1 would be for Bank A in Japan to exchange Japanese yen for XRP on XRPL network, which would take around 3 seconds. XRP then zips to USA in less than 3 seconds. Bank B receives XRP in USA and exchanges it for US dollar in less than 3 seconds. Done. No middleman, no pre-funded accounts. Whole process takes less than 10 seconds. Now fees. Fee for sending XRP is less than 5% of 1 penny, no matter the amount you are sending, and hidden FX spread would be around $5. So answer me in comment section, which way sounds better and more efficient? Now you understand why banks are itching to kick out SWIFT and adopt XRP. All right, we compared banking systems. Now let's compare XRP with top cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, which brings us to topic number 5. To understand the differences properly, we need to look at 3 main aspects, which are speed, cost, and purpose. First, let us talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created as digital gold, meaning its main purpose is to store value over time. When you send Bitcoin, it can take anywhere from 10 minutes to over an hour to confirm, especially when the network is busy. The fees for sending Bitcoin can range from $1 to $50, depending on network congestion. Bitcoin uses a system called proof of work, which requires massive amounts of energy to secure the network, making it less environmentally friendly. The key thing to remember is Bitcoin is fully decentralized, meaning no single company or entity controls it. Now let us look at Ethereum. Ethereum is like a global computer designed to run smart contracts and decentralized applications. Transactions on Ethereum take about 15 seconds to process, but can sometimes be slower if the network is overloaded. The fees known as gas fees can vary wildly, from 10 cents to over $20. Ethereum recently switched to proof of stake, which uses less energy than Bitcoin, but still consumes more power than XRP. Ethereum's main strength is its flexibility, allowing developers to build all kinds of applications on top of its blockchain. Finally, we have XRP. Unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, XRP was built for one thing: moving money fast. Transactions settle in 3 to 5 seconds no matter what. The cost to send XRP is a fraction of a penny, literally less than 5% of 1 penny. XRP uses a unique consensus mechanism that does not require mining or staking, making it extremely energy efficient. While it is more centralized than Bitcoin and Ethereum, this design makes it appealing to banks and financial institutions who need speed and reliability. So to sum it up, Bitcoin is your digital gold, slow and steady for storing value. Ethereum is like a smartphone, powerful and flexible for running apps. XRP is the supersonic jet, built solely for lightning-fast, cheap payments. Each has its own role in the crypto world, and understanding these differences helps you see why XRP could revolutionize how money moves globally. Before we move on, if any of this sounds confusing, make sure to check our 24-minute course for complete crypto beginners, which will help you get better picture of everything we are talking about. Link will be down in description. Now that we have compared these three giants, let us move on to topic number 6, the infamous SEC lawsuit against Ripple. We come to one of the most important chapters in Ripple's history, which is the legal battle with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, better known as the SEC. This lawsuit wasn't just about Ripple. It became a defining moment for the entire cryptocurrency industry. Let me break it down for you in simple terms. In December 2020, the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple Labs, its CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and co-founder Chris Larsen. The SEC claimed that XRP was an unregistered security, meaning they believed Ripple was selling XRP like a stock or investment contract without following proper regulations. Now, why does this matter? Because if XRP had been classified as a security, it would have put Ripple under strict financial laws, making it nearly impossible for them to operate the way they do today. The lawsuit sent shockwaves through the crypto world. Major exchanges like Coinbase even delisted XRP to avoid legal trouble, causing its price to crash. But here's where it gets interesting. Ripple didn't back down. They fought back hard, arguing that XRP is a currency, not a security. They pointed out that XRP is used for payments and liquidity, not as an investment where people expect profits from Ripple's efforts. After nearly 3 years of legal battles, in July 2023, a federal judge delivered a partial victory for Ripple. The court ruled that XRP is not a security when sold to the general public on exchanges. However, the judge also said that XRP could be considered a security when sold directly to institutional investors. This ruling was huge. It gave clarity not just to Ripple, but to the entire crypto market. Many saw it as a win against the SEC's aggressive stance on crypto regulation. Almost immediately, exchanges relisted XRP, and its price surged. You remember I told you how Swift is fighting against XRP? Well, this is how. SEC shut down many promising companies, and Ripple is one of the very few that survived lawsuit against it. Many others didn't have enough resources to withstand the pressure they bring, making this even more significant victory for Ripple. But the fight isn't completely over. The SEC could still appeal, and the case might drag on. However, one thing is clear. Ripple's battle showed that the crypto industry won't just roll over when regulators come knocking. So what does this mean for you as an investor or someone interested in XRP? It means that while Ripple has survived this major hurdle, regulatory risks still exist. But with every legal victory, XRP's future becomes more secure. Now that we've covered the lawsuit, let's move on to something more practical. How can you actually buy and store XRP safely? That's coming up in topic number 7. Buying and storing XRP is simple if you follow the right steps. First, let us talk about where you can buy XRP. While many exchanges delisted XRP during the SEC lawsuit, all major platforms now support it. For beginners, the easiest way is to use centralized exchanges Binance or Coinbase, though availability depends on your country. The reason for this is that major exchanges support traditional currency deposits, meaning you can deposit your funds in, let's say, US dollar value and easily exchange it for XRP in a matter of minutes. Once you have chosen an exchange, the process is straightforward. Create an account, complete identity verification if required, deposit funds using your bank account or credit card, then place an order to buy XRP at the current market price. The fees will vary depending on which exchange you use, but they are generally much lower than traditional banking fees we discussed earlier. After purchasing XRP, the most important step is storing it safely. Never leave your XRP on exchanges long term, because if the exchange gets hacked or goes bankrupt, you could lose everything. Instead, transfer your XRP to a secure wallet you control. There are several good options for XRP wallets, but wallets are topic for another video. We already covered 3 wallets for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana network in our 24-minute course video. We will make a video on Bitcoin Academy in next few weeks, which will cover best wallet options for all top cryptocurrencies. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that guide. For this video, I will only suggest number 1 option I prefer, which is a wallet called Zaman Wallet, formerly known as Zoom. Once your wallet is ready, you can withdraw XRP from the exchange by entering your wallet address. Transactions typically complete in 3 to 5 seconds with fees less than a penny. For those holding large amounts of XRP, consider using a multi-signature wallet for extra security. This requires multiple approvals before any transactions can be made, protecting you from theft even more than normal wallets do. Now that you know how to buy and store XRP safely, let us look ahead to our final topic, the future of XRP and what it could mean for the global financial system. Before we continue, like button is right there, and your support helps us create more content like this. Now let us move to topic number 8, the future of XRP. Now that we have covered everything from how XRP works to how to buy and store it safely, let us look ahead to what the future might hold for this revolutionary cryptocurrency. The potential for XRP is enormous, but like any technology, its success depends on several key factors. First and foremost is adoption by financial institutions. We have already seen banks and payment providers testing Ripple's technology, with companies like Santander and SBI Remit using XRP for cross-border payments. If more banks follow suit, XRP could become the backbone of a new global financial system, replacing the outdated SWIFT network we discussed earlier. Another critical factor is regulation. While Ripple scored a partial victory against the SEC, the legal landscape remains uncertain. Governments around the world are still figuring out how to classify and regulate cryptocurrencies, and their decisions will have a major impact on XRP's future. However, the fact that Ripple has already established partnerships with central banks and financial regulators gives it a significant advantage over other cryptocurrencies. Technological advancements will also play a role. The XRP ledger is constantly being improved, with new features like smart contracts and tokenization being added to make it more versatile. These upgrades could open up new use cases for XRP beyond just payments, potentially competing with platforms like Ethereum in the decentralized finance space. Then there is the question of competition. While XRP is currently one of the fastest and cheapest options for cross-border payments, other cryptocurrencies and even traditional financial institutions are working on their own solutions. SWIFT is not going down without a fight, and new technologies like central bank digital currencies could disrupt the market further. So what does all this mean for you as an investor or someone interested in XRP? It means that while the potential rewards are high, so are the risks. XRP could revolutionize global finance and deliver massive returns to early adopters, or it could be overtaken by newer technologies and regulatory challenges. The key is to stay informed and make decisions based on facts rather than hype. Now that you understand XRP, it is time to explain Stellar XLM. So without wasting time, let's dive inside and answer the most important question. What is Stellar? And why was it created? Stellar is a blockchain-based network created to move money, any kind of money, quickly, cheaply, and across borders. But to truly understand why Stellar exists, you need to look at the person behind it, Jed McCaleb. Before founding Stellar, Jed was actually one of the original co-founders of Ripple XRP, another major crypto project focused on transforming international payments. While working on Ripple, Jed believed in the core idea of faster, cheaper money transfers. But over time, he grew frustrated with how Ripple was becoming more focused on working with large banks and financial institutions, while neglecting the original mission of financial access for everyday people. So in 2014, he left Ripple and launched Stellar, a new network with a different philosophy. Instead of building tools for banks, Stellar wanted to create a platform that could empower regular users, especially in parts of the world where traditional banking is slow, expensive, or even unavailable. And to make that happen, Stellar was built as an open, public network, meaning anyone could use it or build on it without needing permission from a central authority. The goal was simple but powerful. Make it easy for people to send any currency, dollars, pesos, Bitcoin, you name it, to anyone, anywhere, in just a few seconds, and for a tiny fee. At the heart of this system is the Stellar blockchain, which keeps a global record of transactions and makes sure everything runs smoothly and securely. And unlike Bitcoin, which relies on energy-hungry mining, Stellar uses a unique and lightweight consensus system that makes it fast and efficient without needing tons of electricity. But we will explore this mechanism deeper in later topics. From the beginning, Stellar positioned itself as a bridge, not just between currencies, but between people and opportunity. Whether you're a worker sending money home to family, a small business accepting international payments, or a developer building new financial apps, Stellar was designed to make that process simple, affordable, and accessible to all. All right, now we know what Stellar is, but let's go ahead and see the way Stellar moves money without traditional banks, because that is what really sets it apart. When most people think of sending money across borders, they imagine slow bank wires, high fees, and a bunch of middlemen taking a cut along the way. Stellar changes all of that. At its core, Stellar is designed to move any currency, whether it's dollars, euros, pesos, or even other cryptocurrencies, quickly and affordably, without needing a traditional bank or payment processor. And it does this using a clever system of digital tokens and smart network design. Here's how it works. When you send money on Stellar, you don't actually need to send the specific currency itself. Instead, you can use a digital version of that currency, known as a fiat-backed token or stable asset. For example, a token representing US dollars like USDC can exist on the Stellar network, and you can send that to someone else, just like sending an email. If that person wants to receive a different currency, say euros or Bitcoin, Stellar can automatically convert the funds at the best available exchange rate through its built-in decentralized exchange. This makes currency swaps instant and seamless. No need to visit a bank or wait days for an international transfer to go through. What powers this flexibility is a network of anchors, trusted financial partners who issue these digital assets and help bridge the gap between real-world money and the Stellar blockchain. These anchors could be payment companies or even mobile money providers, and they serve as on and off ramps for users. So if you want to deposit real dollars and send them through Stellar, an anchor handles that for you and gives you a tokenized version of your money to use on the network. And once the transaction is complete, your recipient can cash out in their local currency through a different anchor on their end. All of this happens in seconds, not days, and usually for a fraction of a penny in fees. This is why Stellar is such a powerful tool for remittances, cross-border commerce, and financial access in underbanked regions. It removes the friction and cost that traditional financial systems have struggled to eliminate. And you are about to see in this topic a small but important token, XLM, which plays a big role in making all of this possible. It is the core token behind the Stellar network. While Stellar allows you to send pretty much any currency across its blockchain, it still needs a native token to keep things running smoothly. That token is called Lumens, or XLM for short. But what exactly does it do? And why is it necessary if you're mostly sending dollars, euros, or stablecoins? The answer comes down to two key roles: fees and bridging. First, let's talk about transaction fees. Every time someone sends a payment on Stellar, a tiny fee, often less than a fraction of a cent, is required, and it must be paid in XLM. These fees aren't meant to generate huge profits. They exist to prevent spam and abuse. If sending 1 million fake transactions costs nothing, anyone with internet connection could flood the network. But if each transaction, even a tiny one, requires just a bit of XLM, it becomes too expensive to launch those kinds of attacks. So in that sense, XLM acts like a kind of postage stamp, a small but essential requirement that keeps the network secure and clean. The second major role of XLM is bridging between currencies. Let's say someone wants to send euros but only has dollars. If there isn't a direct market between those two tokens on the network, Stellar can use XLM as an intermediate step, converting dollars to XLM and then XLM to euros, all in a split second and behind the scenes. This function is especially useful in places where direct liquidity between currencies is low. By having a universally available token that every user and exchange supports, Stellar can connect currencies that might otherwise have no relationship at all. And that's a big part of what makes Stellar special. It's not just about sending one type of money faster. It's about creating a network where any currency can move seamlessly, regardless of geography, banking access, or infrastructure. And XLM is the glue that helps hold that system together. So, even though you may never actually spend XLM in the way you would Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's still a vital part of the engine that keeps Stellar working behind the scenes, ensuring transactions are cheap, fast, and universal. All right, we got that now. But how does Stellar actually manage to be fast and cheap? Let's go behind the engine and explain that. We will take a closer look at what actually powers Stellar behind the scenes, because unlike Bitcoin, Stellar doesn't rely on mining or energy-hungry validators. Instead, it uses something called the Stellar Consensus Protocol, or SCP. This protocol is one of the key reasons why Stellar is able to offer fast, cheap, and secure transactions without the environmental costs or congestion problems seen in older blockchains. So, how does it work? The magic lies in how decisions are made on the network. In systems like Bitcoin, transactions are grouped into blocks, and miners race to solve complex puzzles to confirm those blocks and add them to the blockchain, a process known as proof of work. This requires massive amounts of electricity and computing power, and it slows things down. Stellar, on the other hand, uses a completely different method. Instead of miners, Stellar relies on a network of trusted nodes, also known as validators, to agree on which transactions are valid. These validators don't compete against each other. They cooperate. Each validator chooses a small group of other trusted validators. This is called a quorum slice. When enough validators agree within their overlapping slices, a transaction is confirmed. This process is called federated consensus. It's fast, efficient, and doesn't require massive computing resources. In fact, transactions on Stellar typically settle in just 3 to 5 seconds, and the fees are so low, often a tiny fraction of a cent, that most users won't even notice them. This makes Stellar ideal for microtransactions, cross-border payments, and any use case where speed and affordability matter. It also means that Stellar can scale more efficiently than proof-of-work blockchains, making it better suited for global financial applications. Another big benefit of this consensus model is accessibility. Anyone can run a validator node, and there's no need to own expensive hardware or pay high entry fees. This opens the door to broader participation and helps maintain the decentralized nature of the network. In simple terms, Stellar achieves its speed and low cost because it was designed to, from the ground up, using a protocol that prioritizes efficiency and collaboration over raw computing power. So next time you send money with Stellar and it arrives in seconds with almost no fee, just remember, that's not luck. It's the result of a smart, elegant system running smoothly behind the scenes. And now that you know how Stellar achieves this performance, it's time to look deeper inside at who's actually running the network and making sure it stays fair and secure. For any blockchain to function, it needs people or systems to keep it secure and updated. In Stellar's case, that job is shared between a network of validators and a nonprofit organization called the Stellar Development Foundation, or SDF. First, the validators. These are independent computers, run by individuals, companies, and institutions that participate in the Stellar Consensus Protocol we discussed earlier. Validators play a critical role in approving transactions and keeping the network in sync. But here's the key part. No single validator is in charge. Stellar was built to be decentralized, meaning no central authority has control over the entire system. Instead, validators independently decide who they trust, forming those quorum slices we mentioned, and reach agreement through cooperation, not competition. That makes the network both resilient and scalable. Anyone can run a validator node. There's no need for expensive hardware or special permission. As more trusted validators join from different parts of the world, the network becomes stronger and more decentralized. Now let's talk about the Stellar Development Foundation. This is the nonprofit that helps guide the development of Stellar, maintain the software, and promote adoption around the world. It was founded in 2014 by Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim, and it operates out of San Francisco. Importantly, the foundation doesn't control the network. It's more like a steward. It builds tools, helps onboard new partners like banks and fintech companies, and supports projects that align with Stellar's mission of financial inclusion. It also holds a portion of the XLM supply to fund its work, but these funds are publicly tracked and used transparently. While some critics argue that having a single foundation involved could reduce decentralization, Stellar's open validator system helps balance that out. The foundation is one voice, a powerful one, yes, but not the only one that matters. And over time, the goal has been to expand the validator base so that the network becomes more distributed and community-driven. So in short, Stellar is run by a mix of decentralized validators and a nonprofit foundation that supports the ecosystem. This hybrid approach allows for fast innovation without sacrificing the principles of openness and decentralization. All right, now we'll explore how this unique setup compares to its most closely related project, Ripple, and why, despite their shared roots, the two networks are heading in very different directions. When people first hear about Stellar, it's almost impossible not to bring up Ripple in the same conversation. After all, both were co-founded by the same person, Jed McCaleb, and both are focused on improving the way money moves across borders. But even though Stellar and Ripple share a common origin and similar goals, the way they go about achieving those goals and the communities they serve are very different. Let's break it down in a way that's easy to understand. Ripple, or XRP, was designed primarily as a solution for large financial institutions. Its main focus is helping big banks and payment providers move large amounts of money more efficiently, using a private network that operates with speed and low fees. Ripple's strategy has been very business-focused from the start, signing deals with global banks, central banks, and financial companies. This makes XRP more like a behind-the-scenes tool used to improve traditional financial systems, not replace them. Now compare that to Stellar. From day one, Stellar positioned itself as a public, open network focused on inclusion, not just for banks, but for individuals. While Ripple is aiming to upgrade how banks operate, Stellar is trying to create a new system altogether, one where everyday people in underserved regions can access digital financial tools directly. That's why Stellar works with NGOs, mobile money platforms, and community-focused fintechs, not just institutions. Another major difference lies in control. Ripple Labs, the company behind XRP, holds a large portion of the total XRP supply and has significant influence over the network. Stellar, on the other hand, is run by a nonprofit foundation and a decentralized group of validators, giving it a more community-driven feel. This difference in structure often leads people to see Ripple as more centralized and Stellar as more open and decentralized. Technologically, the two also differ. While they both use consensus protocols that don't rely on mining, Ripple uses a permissioned system where only selected nodes can validate transactions, whereas Stellar's protocol allows anyone to become a validator, making it more open to participation. In practice, that means Stellar has chosen a more grassroots path, while Ripple has gone the corporate route. Neither approach is inherently wrong. They simply serve different goals. If you're a multinational bank trying to settle millions in cross-border payments, Ripple might be your solution. But if you're a small business in Africa trying to send money to a supplier in Europe, Stellar could be a better fit. So, while Stellar and Ripple may seem similar at first glance, the more you look into their philosophy, technology, and purpose, the more the differences become clear. They're not enemies. They're just playing different roles in the same global game of reinventing finance. Okay. In our next topic, we'll look at whether people are actually using Stellar today and who's really benefiting from what it has to offer. Because all the tech in the world doesn't matter if no one is actually using it. So who's using Stellar today and how is it helping? First off, Stellar has built some solid partnerships over the years, including with major global players like MoneyGram and IBM. Let's start with MoneyGram. Traditionally known for its brick-and-mortar money transfer services, MoneyGram partnered with Stellar to enable users to send and receive stablecoins like USDC across borders. This integration means someone can walk into a local MoneyGram location, convert cash into digital dollars on Stellar, send it anywhere in seconds, and the recipient can withdraw it as cash again, all without needing a bank account. It's a big step toward bridging the gap between traditional finance and blockchain for everyday users. Then there's IBM, which used Stellar to power its WorldWire platform. This was an ambitious project aimed at enabling banks to settle international transactions in seconds using stablecoins and XLM. While IBM has since pulled back from WorldWire, the project demonstrated how powerful Stellar's infrastructure can be for large-scale finance. But beyond big names, Stellar also has a strong presence in emerging markets. In Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, where banking infrastructure is limited, Stellar enables mobile money services, remittances, and micropayments that would be too costly or slow using traditional systems. For example, a worker in Kenya can send funds instantly to family in the Philippines, using Stellar's network and local anchors to handle the currency exchange on both ends. NGOs and charities have also found value in Stellar's low-cost infrastructure. Some humanitarian organizations use the network to distribute aid digitally, giving recipients direct access to funds without waiting for bank transfers or dealing with currency conversion issues. And developers are building on Stellar too. From wallet apps to fintech startups, the ecosystem is growing with projects that use Stellar's tools to create payment solutions, lending platforms, and decentralized apps. That kind of grassroots innovation is important because it shows that Stellar isn't just a theoretical system. It's something that real people are integrating into real financial tools. Now, is Stellar being used as much as Ethereum or Bitcoin? No, not yet. But its focus isn't hype or speculation, it's utility. especially in places where other systems fall short. So while you may not hear about it in the headlines every day, Stellar is quietly powering a new kind of global finance, one that's fast, open, and designed to work for everyone, not just the privileged few. All right, I believe it is time to answer most important question about Stellar, and that is its future outlook. Does it really have a future in a world dominated by giants like Ethereum, Solana, and emerging central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs? On the surface, Stellar may seem like a smaller player compared to Ethereum's massive ecosystem or Solana's speed-focused network. But Stellar was never trying to compete on the same battleground. While Ethereum is focused on smart contracts and decentralized apps, and Solana pushes the limits of high-throughput DeFi, Stellar has always kept its mission laser-focused. Fast, low-cost, borderless payments, especially for the underserved. That focus is its strength. As blockchain grows more mainstream, different networks will serve different purposes. Ethereum might be the go-to for NFTs and DeFi, Solana for speed-hungry trading, but Stellar is carving out a space where it matters most, connecting the unbanked and powering everyday financial tools. One of Stellar's key advantages in this evolving ecosystem is its simplicity. While others build increasingly complex chains, Stellar keeps things straightforward. Fast consensus, easy token issuance, and near zero fees. That makes it incredibly appealing for real-world businesses and developers who want to build something practical without jumping through hoops. And in a future where CBDCs become common, Stellar could act as the plumbing beneath the surface. Its technology can help governments or institutions distribute digital currencies efficiently, especially across borders, without reinventing the wheel. In fact, Stellar has already been involved in early discussions and pilot programs for blockchain-based stablecoins and sovereign digital currencies. It may not issue CBDCs directly, but it can play a critical role in how they move across the globe. Now, can Stellar beat Ethereum or Solana? Probably not in terms of market cap or media hype, but it doesn't have to. Stellar is playing the long game, quietly building bridges in the background while others chase headlines. And with a nonprofit foundation guiding development and a decentralized validator system that anyone can join, it's also positioned to adapt as the crypto world matures. Whether it's helping NGOs distribute aid, enabling cross-border payroll for freelancers, or powering mobile wallets in remote villages, Stellar is showing that financial infrastructure doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to work. So can Stellar compete in a future full of Ethereum, Solana, and CBDCs? The answer is absolutely. Not by being the loudest, but by being the most useful where it matters most. And in a global financial system desperate for simplicity, speed, and inclusion, that might be the most valuable role of all. We reached the end of today's video. If you wish to continue your crypto education, make sure to check one of these 2 videos you see on the screen. I truly hope you found this video helpful. If yes, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you in my next video.